What's up, guys? It's Jared.
Hi.
This is why editing sucks. This guy doesn't talk fast enough. We're going to be talking about our top 10... I was just joking, by the way. We're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite athletes of all time, spanning every sport, and maybe different leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, you guys have heard of my favorite NBL player of all time, Andrew Bogut, right?
Yeah, he better be on there.
Oh, yeah. Would you want to start with number 10?
Yeah, number 10. I have... Number 10, I got Alex Stalock, backup goalie for the Minnesota Wild of the NHL. Of course, I'm not a fan of him because he's the backup goalie for the Wild. Although I do like that about him. Of course, Alex Stalock, grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota before reaching time to go to college when he headed about 2.5 hours north to the University of Minnesota Duluth, where he spent 3 years before heading pro and signing with the San Jose Sharks. I hear music.
It's not coming from me.
The Chrysler Center. No, it's coming from 2K. The Chrysler Center. That's what Michigan's arena is called. But that's besides the point. Alex Stalock, of course, I'm a fan of because he went to the University of Minnesota Duluth, my favorite college. You guys should know this. Get on my level. But I was just going over Alex Stalock's career. He played for the San Jose Sharks for a few years before... I don't think he went anywhere else. Before signing with the Minnesota Wild, playing for their AHL team, the Iowa Wild, for a few years, and now he's been up being the backup goalie. Just signed a 3-year contract to play for the Wild. That's great. But he's my number 10 favorite athlete because he went to the University of Minnesota Duluth, where he was there when I first became a big Bulldogs fan. So I had to have him high. Well, not high, but top 10. Alright, Andrew.
Alright, so like every player on my list is either teams in Minnesota, but to be honest, I don't think there's a lot of Minnesota football basketball players that would belong on this list. So I just basically did and how they affect me. And this first guy actually doesn't apply with that, but I felt like it was only right to put Tom Brady on there, and the reason is he was one of the first football players I ever knew. You know, one of the first times I ever got to experience football was with the Backyard Football video game, which he was on the cover of. And I always just knew him to be, well, I shouldn't say it like that. I mean, I've watched him too, to be just one of the greatest football players I'll ever watch. And then one of the things that just will always stick with me about him was, you know, the Super Bowl against the Falcons. There's not a lot of football players that I was going to put on this list. There's more football players on my overrated list, to be honest. But, you know, just Tom Brady is just someone that I think is just a once-in-a-generation talent, and I do respect that, and I do find him really fun to watch and an inspiration for a lot of people. And I just overall think he is a great person, too. And, yeah, I just really like Tom Brady, like what he represents, and I just like his overall achievements too, and how his never give up attitude. And I do think him and Bill Belichick is one of the best player coaching relationships besides Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich, but that's not what this video is about. So yeah, that was just a little thing. Tom Brady's my 10th favorite, but yeah. The rest of it's mainly basketball players, but I just figured I'd throw him in there. So, Jared, you can go on with your 9th.
Alright. Number 9, I got another UMD goalie. I want you to take a guess who this UMD goalie is, Andrew. You're going to be wrong.
Oh, I'm going to be wrong.
You don't know who he is. I just want you to take a guess. Because he's the last UMD goalie on here.
I don't know anyone on UMD, so I'll guess a name. Michael Adams.
Well, you know a UMD goalie.
I do know you goalie, but you said I'm going to be wrong, so I'm not going to say him.
We'll just say his name because I want him to be mentioned.
Is he pretty cute?
He's debatably cute, yeah.
Is it Hunter Miska?
It is Hunter Miska. But I couldn't put Hunter Miska on here because you know what he didn't do that this guy did? Win a national title. And I am not talking about back-to-back national championship winner Hunter Shepard. I was going to put him on here, but I had to go with the OG. Kenny Ryder. Kenny Ryder. Yes, he can. Any of you that get that? All right. Do you get it, Andrew?
No, I'm not. I'm not a big Bulldogs guy. Actually, I'm not even a Bulldogs guy in general.
Ken E. Ryder.
Oh.
Yes, he can.
That is that's quite a nickname.
Why did we go from just chanting Staylock at Staylock to Kenny Ryder? Yes, he can. I don't know.
Oh my god, that's so funny, Kenny Ryder.
It was the thing, yeah. We'd go Kenny Ryder. Yes, he can. Yep.
What's your is that your sole reason for
No, that's not my sole reason for putting Kenny Ryder 9. My reason I put Kenny Ryder as my 9th favorite athlete is because, of course, he was the goalie for the 2011 national championship winning UMD Bulldogs, their first national championship in school history. I had to get that guy on here because, like I said, unlike Miska, he actually won the big one, and it was the first one, so that's what got him over Shepard. It was the first national title in school history. Had to give the man his respect. Yes, he can. Just for anyone that's wondering, I would be playing NHL, but I deleted my college rosters, so I didn't want to play it. I'm kind of pissed off at NHL right now.
Are you done? Was that it?
Oh yeah, that's it. I finished it off with yes, he can.
Okay, so on mine, I put Dwayne Wade. Again, I don't have a lot of locals on here. So,
you don't got a great chant for Dwayne Wade like we did for Kenny Ryder, sadly.
Yeah, that's true. And my reason for Dwayne Wade, him along with another athlete that will be mentioned later, he's one of the first, him and his former teammate in South Beach are the two first basketball players I ever watched. And
oh yeah, Chris Bosh.
Oh yeah, of course, him and Chris Bosh, Mario Chalmers in the gang, and
yeah, no one else.
Udonis Haslem.
Yeah.
They were some of the first people
now
I ever watched played basketball, and I always think one of the reasons I really like Dwayne Wade is because I always thought he was a player that no one really talked about. And yes, I understand he's a Hall of Famer, he's gonna be, but like when you think of the greatest shooting guards of all time, instantly you're gonna think of that overrated person named Michael Jordan. You'll think of Mr. No Pass, Kobe Bryant. Also, the rapist Kobe Bryant. But you don't think of Dwayne Wade.
Whoa, we can't be making claims like that.
All right, Mr. No Pass Kobe Bryant.
Better.
But I think of Dwayne Wade because, there's not many times where a player's retirement actually makes me feel anything. And, Dwayne Wade's retirement this year actually made me sad because he was the player that got me into basketball. Because, I didn't really watch the Timberwolves right away because there was some hot garbage when I hear that they were pretty fucking terrible when I started getting into basketball, and I believe that. And yeah, it was just him and seeing the connection he was able to have with players, how he was just a great all-arounder, and even to this day, I mean, he just retired last year, and he was still showing in his farewell tour that he could ball with the rest of the guys. And the impact that I know, besides his stints with Cleveland and Chicago, he was loyal to Miami. He's the greatest Heat player in history. Even without LeBron, he was able, not counting an agent Shaq, he was able to basically on his own win an NBA title, the first in Heat's history. He was able to take back a Finals MVP. He's been a scoring leader. Dwayne Wade is just one of my favorite athletes of all time, just because of how he was still able to impact me even in his older age. So yeah, that's my reasoning for Dwayne Wade.
All right, I will remember Dwayne. Have you seen
Was he
that?
on your list too? Yes,
No.
I have.
Yeah, it's funny. That's why I said it. Darkley's on my list.
Huh?
And then he wanted fireworks every time he dunked. Second baseman for the 2008 World Series winning Philadelphia Phillies. 2009 National League champion winning Philadelphia Phillies. Mr. Chase Utley, the man. Shout out to Harry Callis for that one. I obviously didn't come up with the man. You are the man, Chase. World champions. I have to put that clip in here somewhere. I will put it in. At least the audio of it. That's a guy that I can't say was there when I first started watching baseball, but he's one of those guys I remember from the '08 team. Of course, I said one of the guys, meaning someone else is going to be on this list from the '08 team. At least one more. I remember Chase Utley from those teams. Of course, he had the game-winning... I'm going to call it the game-winning save when he faked out... I believe it was it Bartlett at third? Faked him out. Would have tied the game. He faked the guy out, faked that you thrown to first, got the guy to go home, and then gunned him at home, and that's the reason the Phillies won, in my opinion. Because if he doesn't fake him out like that, the next run may score. And, well, the run may score from third on the next play, so... Chase Utley should forever be remembered for winning that '08 World Series, even though he wasn't the MVP. I've said my piece, Chase Utley. Please have another catch with my boy Mac. Okay, me seeing them play catch one time wasn't enough. But it was great. It was great to see Mac and Chase Utley have a catch. I should write a note to Chase Utley. And I'm like Mac. I won't say I don't like my dad. I'll say, you know what? I think we have lots of things in common, Chase. One, I like baseball. Two, I think we both really like our fathers. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to conclude it here before I get a restraining order filed on me by Chase Utley. Please don't file a restraining order on me, Chase. Please. I like you. I don't want that to happen. Alright, Andrew, I better let you go.
Oh yeah, because we're on a time constraint right now.
Yeah.
Do have this cross country meet and I have to wake up fucking early, otherwise this won't be happening. Anyway, for mine, like, I don't care what anyone says. I put this on the way they affected me. I play basketball in real life, and if it didn't exist, the way I play would be completely different. Of course, I am talking about, well, I shouldn't say of course, I am talking about Stephen Curry. Now, I don't hate the Warriors. You know, people that might know me might think, oh, this is Andrew, and he hates the Warriors because they consistently clap the Timberwolves, which isn't true because the Wolves have actually beat the Warriors, you know, more times recently than the Warriors have beaten them. But, you know, the reason is there isn't a lot of players that I say you could say are instant Hall of Famers in the NBA right now. I'd say Steph Curry is, because this person has changed the game of basketball. Sure, there's been some good three-point shooters in the past. Carmelo Anthony, Kyle Korver, Ray Allen, Jason Terry. No one has really affected a generation like Steph Curry. See, because of Curry being the lights-out shooter he is and coming into the league and having that impact, basically, this is a league where if you can't shoot a three, no one really cares about you. You even got guys like fucking Boban Marjanovic attempting threes during games. And, Yeah, Curry is a great guy in real life too. I should probably throw that out there that he is also a really good person. But myself, I do play basketball, and the 3-pointer is part of my game. And listen, will I ever be as good as Steph Curry? Hell no. But just knowing, that the reason that to this day, like I know 3-pointers are part of it, but like when I practice half court shots, when little cross dribbles and fake behind the backs and then pulling up in people's faces. Curry is the reason I do that because I watch someone like him. He's just a little 6'3", which is the size of my dad, so maybe that's not little, but he's an undersized player in the NBA, and he's probably one of the best point guards of all time. So I just have to give it to Steph Curry because overall he has made a change in basketball, and that's my favorite sport. So I just have to respect that. So yeah, you can go next. You can go now.
All right. My number 7 on my top 10 favorite athletes is the greatest third baseman in all of the MLB of all time. The greatest Philly of all time. I had to have him on this list. Of course, that's Michael Jack Schmidt. Now I'm going to try and impersonate Harry Kalas. Of course, I never seen the guy play. He played back in the 80s and that. And of course, was on the 1980 World Series winning Philadelphia Phillies. I'm not going to act like I seen the guy play. I didn't. But he was sure electric with the bat. 500 some home runs. Most in Phillies history. I'm not going to... Won't even take a guess on the number. Most in Phillies history, though. He is definitely the greatest Philly of all time, so I had to represent him on this list. Can't be a Phillies fan not like Michael Jack Schmidt. I really want to do a Harry Kalas impression. Can't do it. Not going to do it. You can say you're 7 since we're on a time constraint. I'll try and hurry this up. Unless I got a player I really want to talk about.
At this point, I really don't give a shit. Time constraint wise, I mean, we're already like a half hour past time, so
yeah.
Anyway, but sorry, back to what I was gonna say. So my number 7 is Kevin Garnett, and again, just like what Jared said, I'm not gonna act like I watched him play when he was a Timberwolf. Did I watch Garnett play briefly while he was a Net? Sure, but he was old. That's not what I'm talking about. The reason I have to put Kevin Garnett on there is because, sure, have I seen footage of him on the Celtics, being one of their best players of all time and being part of that, one of the OG dynasties in our generation? Yeah. But the main reason is because of, what he represents in the Timberwolves history. I mean, as a lot of NBA fans will know, I mean, Timberwolves are a new team in the NBA, so to say. And that's no excuse for why they haven't won. The Raptors are a new team in the NBA, and they just won the championship a couple months ago. But the Timberwolves have had a rocky career. I mean, I'm not going too hard on them because like they were an expansion team. They did come later than most other teams, but other teams have found success, but the Wolves haven't. And Kevin Garnett, right off the bat, proved that. The Wolves weren't just some random expansion team that was just going to get thrown in the garbage. I mean, he made them, getting drafted right out of high school. Kevin Garnett instantly made an impact. He was able to take the Wolves to the playoffs multiple years. Did they make it past the first round a lot? No, but that's not really the point. I mean, different story if they had one, but I'm not really focusing on that. Winning MVP, taking us to the Western Conference Finals. He overall, and to this day, how he's still helping players. Like, I forgot. I think I'm gonna be wrong, but I think he helped Andre Drummond in like his Area 51 thing. I think so. Not like Andre Drummond too, and Karl-Anthony Towns, and how he still does work with players to this day, and how he still tries to help the young Timberwolves talent. And then the stuff I did watch from him, knowing that he was a great trash talker. He was in my opinion, the best power forward of all time. So, yeah, Kevin Garnett, I have to put on this list for what he represents in the Timberwolves, even though I never watched him as a Timberwolf. From what I've heard and just what I've seen on other teams, he was an amazing player and definitely a Hall of Famer. Hopefully next year, you can go on to say you're a sixth, I believe, or is
Okay.
it, or, or is it your fifth?
I think it's my 6th. Yeah, it's my 6th. Number
Okay.
6, Randy G. Moss. I only put one football player on here. I put my favorite, not my exactly favorite Viking of all time, but the one that I actually got to see play in his career. And I was going to put Fran Tarkington on here, but I never seen him play. And unlike Mike Schmidt, I didn't think that I necessarily needed to put Tarkington on here, although he's the greatest Viking of all time, debatably. No, Moss is the greatest Viking of all time. That is not up for debate. He's the second greatest wide receiver of all time. So, yeah. And maybe the first if you consider the quarterbacks they had to work with. Randy Moss was just insane. A young guy out of Marshall. I was going to say out of... Oh, yeah. He's from Rand, Michigan, or whatever. Yeah. Guy out of Marshall that got into a lot of trouble young. The Vikings took a chance on him there at the 21st pick, I believe. And he turned out to be just a talented guy that if he really would have worked, he would have been the greatest wide receiver of all time. But instead of working, he straight cash homie. He had an ego on him. And the way he was still able to produce with that ego, 3 catches for 3 touchdowns versus the Cowboys in that revenge game. He was just an insane player on the field. Had his issues off the field, but if you just look at on the field, he was insane. I remember him coming back to the Vikings in 2010. That didn't work out well, but you thought you were going to get the old Randy Moss again, and yeah, that was...
I miss the old Randy, straight from the goal Randy.
I don't miss the old Randy. The old Randy was
Who
the
do you
same as the new
consider?
Randy, man.
Who do you consider the best wide receiver of all time?
If you're going strictly off of stats and everything, it's got to be Jerry Rice. But if you factor
Oh, I
in the
wasn't even
fact,
thinking of him.
but if you factor in the fact that Jerry Rice had Steve Young and Joe Montana for quarterbacks, and Randy Moss had Dante Culpepper and Randall Cunningham, who they took straight, literally laying bricks. Obviously he had played football, but they took him from laying bricks and had him on that 98 team as the quarterback after Brad Johnson went down. And when you think about that, obviously you can make an argument that Randy Moss is the greatest wide receiver, because look what he did with those quarterbacks. Well, Jerry Rice had Joe Montana throwing him a perfect ball that he could take. So it depends. If you want to not take that into factor, then it's Jerry Rice. But if we're going to look at the cold hard factor in quarterbacks, it's Randy Moss. His ego hurt him, though. He could have been the best and gotten those Jerry Rice and been looked upon as the greatest wide receiver if he just would have gotten over his ego. That was his only problem. Yeah.
All right. Well, next, next on my list. Wait, hold on. I think I made a mistake in my list. All right. So next on my list is Rajon Rondo, and that might be a shocking one for you to hear, but so I made a comment under the Kevin Garnett one that I didn't watch Garnett ever as a Timberwolf, but I did catch glimpses of him as a Celtic, but mainly remember him as a Net. Rondo's a bit differently. I do vividly remember him as Celtic. That's what he's most known for. And when I think of, I don't need to keep talking about myself as a basketball player, but the truth is, Rondo, I think, is a very inspirational person, especially, I do try and model my game after Rondo, although he's not the greatest player of all time. He's one of the greatest passers of all time. Like a lot of analysts will call him the smartest basketball player of all time. He's a really good playmaker. And sure, he's a bit tough, but you know, he's a bit of a show off, but you know, it's damn good. And it's just overall that, you know, maybe he's not the best shooter out there, but he's definitely, he knows he knows every move you're gonna make before you even do it. He knows how to set all of his teammates in the right spot. He knows how to go behind the back, through the legs, fake pass, and go behind the face or behind the head. It's so fun that the fact that he's still playing, and it'll be a very similar Dwayne Wade situation when he retires and go on his tour. And I hope that's not this season, but hey, you never know. So Rondo, for as much work as he's done to really inspire my personal game, he's my 5th favorite. Or sorry, did I say 5th?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you can go next.
All right. I don't even need to look at my list. My number 5 is 2018 national champion. Share a first name with this guy. One of 2 Bulldogs I have a jersey of. Both jerseys are signed by the players. Of course, I'm talking about Jared R. Thomas. Other than the fact that we have the same first name, this was a guy I enjoyed watching play. And he's one of those guys where people around us hated him. They've done it with like Joey Anderson, Riley Tufte. They hated Jared Thomas, and he heated up at the right time. And without Jared Thomas on the 2018 team, who knows if the Bulldogs win. He was insane. He got the game-winning goal in the semifinal game versus Ohio State, and then got the game-winning goal in the national championship game. And you can bet that I was very excited when I seen number 22 put that in the net, and then do his doing the do, which I do every time they show that goal now. Of course, that was when you wouldn't know, but he slid in the corner and he slicked his hand over his helmet like he was doing his hair back. It's pretty cool. Such a star. He never... Okay, that was obviously a joke, because I guess I kind of got to say that, because people aren't going to know about these Bulldogs, but Jared Thomas never really put up the stats, but that senior year got hot at the right time, and he was a big part of that team. And that cannot be forgotten. And of course, I share the same first name with him, so of course I like the guy. Yeah. All right, you can talk about your 5.
All right. So my 5 is mine's De'Aaron Fox. Probably I think he'd be the youngest on this list, and yeah, he is. And my reason for liking De'Aaron Fox, again, he's someone that has really helped me change the way I play basketball, because De'Aaron Fox is a very fast person, and I know that's not my main reason for liking him. Reason is he's really good at fast breaks. He's really good, especially at a very young age. He's very good at improving his game, improving his shot, improving how he controls his speed down the court, and how many moves he can do while being the fastest on the court. And, you know, not to overhype myself, but in many of the games I played last year for my league, I'm not talking about 2K, my league. I confused myself right there. But in my YMCA league, I was often the fastest player on the court, but I just made too many mistakes and lost the ball because I didn't know how to fucking do a layup at full speed, you know, when I can't control myself. But watching De'Aaron Fox and seeing how he was been able to grow in just 2 years has really set an impression on me, especially for being a young guy who, he's very relatable. You know, he's not just an athlete, you know, he's a gamer, you know, he likes anime. I don't like anime myself, but I'm just saying, like, he likes pop culture, you know, he likes comic books, you know, he's a big video game guy. He's just a really fun person, and he's just really good at improving his game, and he's someone that I really want to end up playing like, and I try to play like. So yeah, De'Aaron Fox is my fifth favorite.
All right. Just take it. Okay, my fourth favorite. Just give me a second here. Just doing something quick before I start going on about my fourth. I'm in like a key part of the game right now, so I'm just starting to send up my lineup, so that's not in the video. Alright, here we go. So, my fourth favorite athlete of all time is, talked about the 2008 Phillies earlier, the 2008 World Series MVP, Cole Hamels. Of course, he spent the beginning of his career in Philadelphia before transitioning and getting traded in 2015 to the Texas Rangers, where he played before he was traded to the Cubs, where he's spending his time now. And I'm really hoping once his contract's up this year, he'll come back to Philadelphia to finish out his career. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how much he was fun to watch in Philadelphia. He's a nasty pitcher. He had the stuff. Part of the five aces. I believe that's what they're called. I don't know, five aces, whatever they're called. They're on the cover. Him, Joe Blanton, Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, Roy Oswald, I believe. They were insane. They were some fun pitchers to watch, but Cole Hamels, probably my favorite out of the bunch, just because he spent the most time in Philadelphia as a player. He wasn't just there for a few years like Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee and those. Yeah. So that's why he's my fourth favorite athlete. You?
Alright, my turn?
Yep.
Alright, so my fourth favorite athlete of all time is the Board Man. And that's Kawhi Leonard. And I already had made up my mind that he was one of my favorite athletes before this year. So no, I am not a Noah Lackner. I didn't. He's one of our friends. For those who aren't going to understand that, but I didn't just become a fan of him this year. I mean, ever since that finals, I believe it was the 2014. I could be wrong. I'm very tired right now. I'm not really focusing. And where Kawhi on a team that had some of the greatest players of our generation, and Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Manu Ginobili, had a great shooter in Danny Green. Um, Kawhi Leonard was still able to win Finals MVP going against that South Bay team or South Beach team that me and Jared, that we're talking about, that included Mario Chalmers, Udonis Haslem, Dwayne Wade, and nobody else. Just Dwayne Wade and Mario, but
Nobody else.
and Kawhi was able to clamp down Mario Chalmers, and that's pretty amazing. But in all seriousness, Kawhi is to me, the last time I'm going to mention somebody affecting the way I play my personal basketball game, but Kawhi is a very unemotional person when he plays. I mean, that's pretty obvious. We all know that. And he's able to keep a stone. He doesn't let his emotions get to him. He's able to be clutch. I mean, I'm sure Jared, of all people, knows about Kawhi's clutchness. And Yeah, Kawhi knows how to handle a tough situation. He knows how to be locked down. He's one of the greatest two-way players of our generation. Um, God, what else needs to be said about him? I mean, at this point, everyone knows how amazing he is. He's won Finals MVP. He's won 2 championships on 2 different teams, and has won Finals MVP in both of them with established stars as his teammates and going against great competition. Kawhi is one of the most underrated players of our generation when you're talking about top 10 basketball players of the 2010s. Um, and overall, I think just Kawhi is a great model player that, you don't have to be very talkative when you play. You don't have to be specifically good on offense or defense. Kawhi shows it is really helpful to be a great two-way player and, keep your emotions to yourself, and you can still be the best player on the court even when you have LeBron, Curry, and Durant as your opposition. So yeah, that's why Kawhi Leonard's my 4th favorite athlete of all time.
Alright. You're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to interrupt you. My 3rd favorite athlete of all time is 1. Now batting for the Minnesota Twins, number 7, Joe Mauer. Just wanted to do that. I'm just gonna say, I always hated that. I always hated him when he came up to bat. They would go, now batting for the Minnesota Twins, and extend out the Joe, and then just go Mauer. It annoyed me. That's besides the point. Of course, as a Minnesota kid that played baseball young, I like Joe Mauer. Who didn't like Joe Mauer? If you were from Minnesota and you played baseball, you wanted to be Joe Mauer. You wanted to grow up to play for the Minnesota Twins. That hometown team, the hometown kid, went to Kareem Durham from St. Paul, Minnesota. He was Minnesota baseball. And I'm not afraid to admit it. When he retired last year, that last game, I cried when he came out onto the field wearing that catcher's gear. Because that was all that catching up to me from when he came up in the big leagues to now. Yeah, I can say my favorite baseball player was going to be gone. And I knew it. And it was so much at one time, just happiness, the sadness of seeing Joe go. It sucked, but at the same time, you knew it was going to happen. You were ready for it because I feel like most people knew he was retiring after last season. Once that contract was up, could have signed it again, signed a little 1-year contract, came back, could be a World Series champion. They're not going to win. They're overhyped. It wouldn't be if they had Joe Mauer playing first base, but they don't. So, I mean, come on, if you're a Minnesota kid, you grew up loving Joe Mauer. If you're a Minnesota kid, you should still love Joe Mauer. I feel bad for the people you didn't get to see Joe Mauer when he was good. Like, the kids now, they think Joe Mauer is just some bum that played first base. No, he was a Silver Slugger, a Gold Glove, an MVP winning catcher. He was amazing behind the dish. And that sucks that he had so many concussions that took him out. The injuries are what ended his career. I think he could still be playing if it wasn't for those injuries. Those injuries ended his career earlier than it had to happen. Yeah. Joe Mauer is my 3rd favorite athlete of all time. And my favorite baseball player.
Joe Mauer is the reason I started playing first base.
I don't think there's a reason I played any position.
Well, it was my uncle, but not only did my uncle play first, that's, when I started getting to the Twins, and I was like, oh, Joe Mauer, and I knew, I didn't really follow baseball, but I just knew Joe Mauer was really good, and he played for the Twins, and I was like, oh, he's first base? I was like, well, I want to be like Joe Mauer, and then, of course, he's one of the only Twins I can really talk about my memories, but that's not what this video is about, I'm on time constraints, so I'm gonna talk about my 3rd favorite of all time, and that would be Kevin Love. and I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think I really need to explain, but I'm gonna anyway, on why it's Kevin Love. You know, it's kind of funny. The three greatest players in Timberwolves history all start with a K. And maybe I'm not gonna spoil anything, but maybe the third K will pop up later in my list. But the second K, Kevin Love. You know, when Kevin Garnett left the Wolves were in a dark spot. And then it came to the 2008 NBA draft. They selected a chunky white guy out of UCLA. That chunky white guy's name was Kevin Love. And yeah, he turned into a pretty good player. Like nowadays, if you follow Kevin Love and you know a little bit about him, he's actually looking really good, body size. But you know, Kevin was another great player in Timberwolves history. I mean, the Wolves have never been amazing besides that year, which I believe was 2004. I could be wrong, where they made it to the Western Conference Finals. The Wolves have never been an outstanding team, but they've had that one player. Again, maybe that's foreshadowing for later in this list, but they've had that, you know, those like that one key player that makes them noticeable, and the only reason people actually know who they are. And Kevin Love was that player. I mean, you know, he made an All NBA team while he was a Wolf. He made a couple All-Star appearances, made a few buzzer beaters. My first memory of him, I couldn't tell you what team it was against, but Love hit a big buzzer beater from way beyond the three-point line. And after it was in Minnesota, when he was done, he threw his arms out to celebrate, and the team lifted him up. It's one of my first basketball memories, and I just really loved him. I mean, it was even better. Like, was I mad that Kevin Love left? Yeah, but I was really happy for him when he got to leave Minnesota, which was in the dumps at the time, and you know, he got to go to Cleveland and win himself a championship, and he wasn't just a side piece. He was one of the most important members of that Cavaliers team. And to this day, he's still one of the, in my opinion, one of the greatest Cavaliers of all time. And yeah, just Kevin Love's overall amazing player, and he may be looked at as that third guy on the Cleveland championship team, but to me, not only is he an amazing person, I mean, he's one of the best Timberwolves of all time, so I'll always like him for that. That's why he's my third favorite athlete of all time. And Jared, it's your turn.
I know. My second favorite athlete of all time, only basketball player on this list. He is my favorite basketball player of all time. That's one AI, Allen Iverson. A guy that actually led his team to a NBA Finals before, well, we don't need to talk about that guy that didn't like pass.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant. Came home and the Sixers got smoked. I just love that line. Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine talking about that. Well, LaMelo Ball's playing for Clemson.
So anyway, Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson's my favorite basketball player of all time, and actually, and that's because I'm a Sixers fan. I don't remember much of Iverson, but when I think basketball, I think Allen Iverson. He's one of the few basketball players that actually get a jersey of. Probably the only one I'd get a high school jersey of, or a college. But Allen Iverson is the greatest Sixer of all time. Okay. You could debate maybe Wilt Chamberlain, but...
And in 10 years from now, maybe we'll be saying Joel Embiid.
Could say Ben Simmons, too. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Zaire Smith.
Could be Zaire Smith. Who knows? That's 10 years from now, though. Right now, I'm thinking Allen Iverson. Not much more to it. I mean, just greatest Sixer of all time. My favorite basketball player. I don't know why I was gonna say Tim Rose. I think you're talking about Tim Rose because you just talked about K-Love. I don't know. I don't even like Tim Rose. I got one more thing to say about Iverson. That's to tell a story of Tomato Face. That's what I'm gonna call her. Our 8th grade history teacher, civics teacher, social studies teacher, whatever you want to call the class. Yes. She was in class. I don't remember why she was talking about him. It was because of his practice rant. And I mean, I was going to call her out on it, but I was like, you know what? Not worth my time. And she goes, I hate Allen Iverson, and I bet all of you do. No one in this class likes Allen Iverson, right? I go, well, actually, he's my favorite basketball player of all time. She goes, you're just screwing with me. There's no way you like Allen Iverson. And my friend, Dale, says to her, yeah, that's his favorite basketball player of all time. She goes, no way. You're just screwing with me. No way you'd like Allen Iverson. I'm just like, yes, he's my favorite basketball player. No way. No.
That doesn't even sound like something a teacher would say.
I know, it was so stupid.
Like you never even heard her ever talk about basketball. Like I've never even heard Miss Prescott talk about sports. Besides the fact
Tomato
that her
Face.
Name...
We are not talking about.
Whoops. The fact that Tomato Face shares a last name with a certain starter for the Dallas Cowboys.
Tony Romo, of course.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, that Miss Romo.
Yeah.
She never made mention of basketball, but then for some reason she's like, Allen Iverson.
She hated him. I mean, if we want to talk about the practice rant, everyone loves to talk about how he said practice so many times. But we all ignore the fact of the reason that rant happened was because his boy just got shot. Like, everyone ignores the fact that, yeah, his friend just got shot, and, like, he was sitting up there on a podium, up on, whatever you want to call it, was sitting up there having to give an interview. Somebody in the Sixers organization should have had the right mindset and said, you know what, this guy is not ready to be up there. No, he shouldn't be doing an interview today. So I blame it on the Sixers that practice rant even happened. Not Allen Iverson. His boy just got shot, Sixers. Why'd you put him up on the stand? Alright, done ranting.
Alright. I don't care what you say about this one. My second favorite basketball, or, well, I guess technically, but my second favorite athlete, but also my second favorite basketball player of all time is Mr. LeBron James. And yes, I know that was kind of an obvious one. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people forget that he was on the Heat.
He was never on the Heat. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, like, we often remember Mario Chalmers and the great Udonis Haslem and even Shane Battier as part of that Heat team, but we often forget that LeBron was part of that team too.
Well, never.
And that Matthew Dellavedova carried LeBron to a championship.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that LeBron was so unknown and he still led the Cavaliers in scoring during that series against Golden State. But anyway, we all know that LeBron James is... Okay, maybe I shouldn't say that we all know. But I think it's pretty obvious that LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of our generation.
What?
I mean, some people want to...
He's some scrub. No one's better than my boy Mario Chalmers.
Yeah,
that
sorry,
bench
I
scrub.
forgot about Mario. But LeBron is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Don't even give me any of that Zion Williamson shit. Zion is nowhere near what LeBron is. Maybe he's... I'm not saying Zion's not a good player, but LeBron is something different. LeBron's a new breed.
He's a bench scrub we all remember as being good.
And he just was... He for as much as people hate him, and believe me, I understand why people don't like him.
No, he's not.
Michael Jordan, you know, didn't always have the grace of competition, and he had that whole squad with him just name a few: Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen. But we could go a little bit further. But again, I'm on
Sir,
a time constraint.
LeBron had Mario
And
Chalmers. I don't know what you're talking about.
it was just LeBron for what he can do. From you guys the greatest moments of missing that 3-pointer so Ray Allen could nail the one. You got LeBron, blocking Andre Iguodala in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals, or 2017, my bad. You got many plays by LeBron where LeBron is a power forward. He can play the point, the shooter, the small, and the center. He can play every position. He'll block anyone on the court. He'll dunk on anybody on the court. And LeBron, no matter how old he is or who he's up against, he will always be the best player on the court. He'll embarrass your favorite player. And at the end of the day, he most likely has more rings than your favorite player. So there's that. And,
Yeah, he does.
So yeah, LeBron, I'm only saying that stuff because I don't think I really have to explain LeBron. I mean, everyone knows that LeBron is one of the greatest players of all time. So I don't have to explain more, but LeBron, along with Dwayne Wade, he's one of those athletes that I just grew up knowing. And I think my life would be different if I never got to watch LeBron in 2010. And if I didn't get to watch him now, to where he is older and still one of the best players in the league.
I'm gonna tell you, so when you said that he, dunking and that, I started laughing because I'm playing with my Michigan team with Bronny, and I had just dunked with Bronny.
Nice.
So yeah. All right. Well, I don't even need to look. I know who my favorite athlete of all time is. I want you to take a guess. Don't overthink it. I think you should know who it is.
Okay. Is he a Viking?
No.
Is he a hockey player?
Yes.
Oh, god damn. I don't know hockey. Is it a bulldog?
Yes.
I can only think of a couple players. You already said Jared Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Miska, but you said you weren't going to put him on here. I can't think of any other bulldogs that you really like.
All right. I guess I'll just reveal it then. So when I was talking about Jared Thomas, I said I had a jersey of 2 Bulldog players, both signed by them. My favorite athlete of all time, and the reason that I got into UMD hockey, I give him credit for this, Jackson Conley, Duluth's own.
Oh, come on.
Went to Marshall High School up on the hill. The hometown kid. Stayed home. He played for his UMD Bulldogs. The team that he grew up cheering for. I was fortunate to get the chance to get him to sign my jersey. 2 years ago now. It was great. I'd see him, asked him to sign the jersey. It was at a little event they do every year here. The Heritage Summer Classic, and he was coming in from warm-ups, and I just yelled, "Hey, Jack!" Had to yell it a couple times, so I got him, and he seemed very happy to be signing the jersey. He smiled, and he said, "Great guy," and that's another I haven't been saying that with everybody, but great guy, such a nice guy. You could really tell when they won that first national title in 2011, he really cared. It meant more to him than anybody else on that team. You look at the championship picture, everybody is just sitting there smiling, and then you see that guy just sitting there, red eyes, you could tell he had been bawling, just crying his eyes out, because he finally brought that title home to his home city, They had been waiting years to finally see a national title sitting in a trophy case. He brought the title home. He brought it to his home city. It wasn't just him bringing it home to the college he was going to. He was bringing it back to Duluth. This was a whole life goal, not just a small moment in time. And I credit Jack Conley with the reason I'm such a big Bulldogs fan, because without him, those early years of me going to those Bulldog games and watching them, I don't know if I'd be the same fan I am. I mean, I'm sure I'd still watch them and probably have season tickets and all that, but I don't know if I'd be the fan of the team that I am today. Jack Conley meant so much to me in those early days of being a fan, and I'm just, I can't give him, you know, I can't, like, I couldn't thank him enough, really, for, like, what he did for me as a Bulldogs fan. Because without him, like, seriously, I don't know what my life would be without the Bulldogs. And I mean, I get they're just a college. I get they're just college. But really, UMD means so much to me. There's so much to me as a person. It just means so much for that he stayed home and went to UMD. I could ramble on forever about Jack Conley. He is my favorite athlete, no doubt. I'll just let you say your favorite athlete. I already know who it is.
All right.
Even though I have something to say about this after you're done explaining it.
Something to say about my athlete?
Yeah.
What sport play?
Basketball. For the Minnesota Timberwolves.
All right, well then you might as well just say it since you know who it is.
It's Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yes, it's Karl-Anthony Towns. I was debating at first if I was going to put Towns at 1. Because, I mean, he's young. He is very new to the league. I mean, career-wise. And LeBron, sure, might be better than Towns. He'll probably have a better career than Towns, but you never know. Anyone can do anything. But what Towns means to me is different than LeBron. I mean, sure, my life would probably be different, but it's not like LeBron's the only basketball player in the league. I mean, Dwayne Wade got drafted the same year as LeBron. You know, so he still would have been there. Carmelo, one of my favorite players, he would have been there. Rondo, they're all still there. So is Kevin Garnett. But when it comes to Karl-Anthony Towns, he, to me, represents why I still am a Timberwolves fan. I'm not saying I would be a bandwagon fan, but to be honest, there's not much to the Wolves right now. I mean, sure, they're one of those many teams with an intriguing young roster. Sure, I'll agree with that. Sure, the Wolves have one of the best young rosters in the league. That doesn't mean anything, though. Like, when you think of the Wolves, if you're not thinking of Towns, what else are you thinking of? Are you thinking of the bust that's Andrew Wiggins? Maybe. Actually, maybe that is what you're thinking about. Are you thinking about how the Wolves could have drafted Steph Curry? How the Wolves kind of, in my opinion, stupidly traded away Zach LaVine and what would be Lauri Markkanen and Chris Dunn for Jimmy Butler? You think of Jimmy Butler wanting out on the team after one season? Karl-Anthony Towns is a bright spot in the Timberwolves history because he's one of the best centers in the league. That's one of the things about the NBA is that you can definitely say who the best point guard is. You can say who the best shooting guard is. You can say maybe not who the best small forward is. You can say who the best power forward is. But center is tough because you got guys like Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Karl-Anthony Towns, and maybe even Rudy Gobert, who are all amazing players, but Towns is in that list. When you look at those teams, Embiid, he comes from the Sixers, one of the best teams in the East. The Jazz are one that have some of the highest betting odds to make it to the championship this year, to the finals this year. Nikola Jokic plays on the Nuggets, one of the most, I'm not going to say overhyped, but hyped up teams in the last couple seasons. But the Wolves have been one of the worst teams in the NBA, or worse than they should be. And yet Towns is still there. He's an all-star who is still seems to love Minnesota. It really appears that he does love being in Minnesota and he wants to provide. He's a three-point shooting big man. I made that point earlier when I talked about Steph Curry, about how, he changed the league up, so everyone's shooting threes now. Well, that applies to Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns, statistics-wise, is one of the best three-point shooting big men in the league right now. I believe he's second in three-point percentage among centers, behind Brook Lopez, and who's been in the league a lot longer. And Towns, overall, I think he's already the third greatest Timberwolf of all time. I think he will go on to be the best Timberwolf of all time. I don't think it's an exaggeration when I say that he will win an MVP in his career. And I think Embiid and Jokic will too, don't get me wrong. I think Jokic is going to win MVP next year. But Towns just me. It's kind of hard to explain why I like him so much, other than the fact that, he's the best player on an average team. But it's a fun way to watch the Timberwolves. I mean, the Wolves will lose a lot. They're not going to win. They might not make the playoffs, and they're sure as hell not going to make the finals next year. But you still got Karl-Anthony Towns, who's going to provide and make highlights. He will cross up some of the best big men in the league. He will dunk on some of the best athletes in the league. He will block. He'll have those great buzzer-beating moments that just make you remember that, hey, I'm still a Timberwolves fan, because a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns gives us hope that, there will be better days in the future, and that there is a future for the Wolves. So, Karl-Anthony Towns is the reason why the Timberwolves are my favorite team. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Vikings, but I love the Timberwolves more, and Towns is one of the big reasons, because he got me back into the Wolves after many years of just meh. So, I mean, the Wolves sucking actually gave us Karl-Anthony Towns, and that's just amazing. So he's my favorite athlete of all time.
All right, I got one problem with that. If you're done.
I'm done.
All right. My problem with that is in our NBA playoffs episode, you said your favorite basketball player of all time was Dwayne Wade. How is he ranked so low on your favorite athletes, but he's your favorite NBA player of all time? And you had a basketball player at number one.
Well, I think in that list, when I said of all time, I was talking about, like, players that weren't currently in the league. Because I wasn't counting Dwayne Wade as being in the league, since he had retired by then. And if you know... But I do see a flaw there still. I mean, Kevin Garnett was ranked higher, but... I mean, opinion, it's hard. It's hard. Basketball is my favorite sport. It's hard to give a definite answer of who's my favorite of all time. So.
All right. I'd say my list, my number one has always been the same. That's why I was saying that I would think somebody would be able to get it if they really thought about it. Like, don't overthink it and just thought about it.
So, well, we're about an hour off schedule.
Yeah, we're out. Well, I'm going to close this out. Of course, well, I got 18-17. I got to finish out this Michigan-Virginia Tech game. Hold them from getting a 3, but it's been a little easier, Jared, with the Cam Man podcast. Oh, we got the ball. All right. Of course, we just concluded our top 10 favorite players of all time, athletes. We have a top 10 least favorite athletes of all time coming up. That would be the next episode. Add me on PlayStation if you want Mr. Lil Yeezy 11. Don't be adding AZ Birds, because that's not his PlayStation name. Don't do it.